so this will probably be just me praising him for most of the time. I'll get back to the 10-minute videos of me shitting on people soon, guys, I promise. Well, at least I was able to keep my promise. If you would have told me 2 years ago that Dream would become a shadow of his former self and would lose the respect of most of the YouTube community, I probably wouldn't have believed you. The dude was at the top of YouTube at one point, with really only Mr. Beast beating him in channel growth, and to this day is the most subscribed YouTuber that solely does Minecraft. And while he wasn't respected by everyone, he was a major figurehead in the Minecraft community. The amount of influence he had at the time couldn't possibly be ignored. But all of this would slowly fade away in recent years. Instead of Dream being on top of the YouTube game nowadays, he's now seen as a complete laughingstock due to the many controversies he's gotten into. And the views on his videos would also start to go down, although let's be real here, these views are still amazing for any YouTuber to get, but it pales in comparison to what he got before. So it leads me to one question: how did this happen? And that's what I'm going to try and answer in this video by going over each one of his major controversies. But before we begin, I want to specify what I'm not covering, which are the grooming allegations. Many people condemn Dream for allegedly grooming underage fans, but there's no clear-cut evidence that he's a groomer, so I don't really feel comfortable talking about it. That's why I'm not even going to mention it in the rest of the video. It just wouldn't feel right, honestly. And with that being said, let's get into the video. Now, this section is going to be pretty short to say the least, and that's because when you get down to it, there's not really that much to talk about. At least, not anymore. Stan culture itself is not anywhere near as big as it was in 2019 to 2020, and I don't really see stans that much anymore. Plus, I've already made a full video about this a few years ago. Go watch that if you want. So instead of going over the entirety of why stan culture got Dream hate, I'm going to go over a situation that Dream had responded to poorly, which affected his reputation, albeit not to a massive degree. So let's get into it. In December of 2020, the YouTuber Josh tweeted out a thread criticizing stans and stan culture, essentially distancing himself from that entire side of the internet and not wanting those type of people to be in his fan base. Although this did cause a fair bit of controversy, distancing yourselves from these type of fans wasn't an unusual thing to do at the time. Some of Josh's friends at the time, like Call Me Carson, also had similar issues with the culture around content creators and wanted to distance himself from it. So it's not like this was some big deal. It was just somebody being uncomfortable that people that have profile pics of him and idolized him were roaming around his community. I would find that pretty weird myself, to be honest, so it's pretty understandable. But that's not how Dream saw it. The thing with Dream is that a good portion of his fanbase were stans at the time, which he heavily supported. Instead of acknowledging any of the negative effects that this type of fan could have, especially with how parasocial the behavior was, Dream would keep appealing to them, sometimes in a very creepy way. So because of this, instead of responding to something like this in a respectable and reasonable way, he just insulted Josh and called him an idiot for his opinions, which is pretty telling in all honesty. Dream himself did eventually make a video defending stans and stan culture, which is completely fine. I didn't agree with this video personally, but at least he addresses in a calm and non-aggressive manner, which leads me to ask this: why couldn't he just do this with Josh? There were a lot of points in Josh's thread, and he explained why exactly he didn't like stan culture. It's not like he was just saying stan culture is bad and not elaborating on anything. He laid his reasons out, but Dream just couldn't do the same thing in response. I think it's kind of childish when someone acts this way, especially if they were as big as Dream is. And while this situation didn't exactly make Dream's reputation worse, the next situation and how he handled it would become a common talking point about why Dream is hated, and that is the speedrunning situation.
You think of dying.
This situation is one of the first massive blows to Dream's reputation due to what he actually did and how he responded to everything once he was called out for it. And it's also probably the most known controversy that I'm going to be talking about today, since Dream is still being criticized for it almost 3 years after it happened. But in order for us to understand exactly what went on, I feel like I need to explain some context. In late 2020, one of Dream's Minecraft speedruns was determined to be fake. The evidence for this at the time was a document including all the math needed to conclude this, along with a video by the YouTuber Geosquare that made the information a lot more digestible for the normal YouTube audience. But whether the speedrunning allegations were true or not is not really important to this section, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't really give a shit whether he cheated in Minecraft or not. There are certain people that I'm sure would care about that, but I really don't. So I won't focus on whether he actually did it or not. What I will be focusing on, however, is his response to everything, which is just kind of laughable to say the least. So let's get into it. Dream's initial response was to start tweeting his frustration about his speedruns being called fake, even trying to completely discredit Geosquare by calling his video clickbaiting to get easy views. He also made a tweet claiming that moderators messaged him telling him that they think the verdict was biased, which was him essentially trying to discredit the mod team in general. Keep in mind that at this point, Dream didn't really disprove anything at all, and was making these unhinged tweets essentially shitting on the mod team without coming up with any real arguments. And that's what I find to be pretty scummy about this. Dream did not make himself look good here at all, and he shouldn't have spoken so confidently about this and insulted the mod team. Well, before making a response to everything, anyways. If the Geosquare video was fully proven wrong and completely biased against Dream, then I'd say it's fair game, honestly. But I think it's just not a good move to make statements like this, especially when thousands of your fans go to flood a guy's comment section with tons of hate, who may have actually been right about all of this. It's just not a good look in general. Dream did eventually admit that he did not respond to this whole thing well at first though, and I'd respect his response here if not for what happened later on. After this Twitter exchange, Dream would make a response video to the Geosquare one, which was a pretty flimsy video to be honest. He got someone with a PhD who specialized in statistics to help debunk a lot of what was said in the Geosquare video, but Dream's response was also quickly debunked in a Reddit post, so that was disappointing. But let's flash forward to around May of 2021, half a year after everything with the speedrunning allegations went on. After months of silence after his response video, Dream finally admitted that he did in fact cheat in a speedrun. Well, kinda anyways. It's a bit complicated. In a pastebin document, which is apparently deleted off the website, luckily I had an archive in my Google Docs of everything he said, Dream admits that the conclusion that the mods came to originally on his run was correct, but that he didn't intentionally cheat. His explanation is essentially that he accidentally had mods or plugins on which affected his run, which is kinda funny to me to be honest. For one, I don't really believe that this is an accident if I'm gonna be honest. It just seems way too convenient for Dream to have just completely forgotten that he had mods or plugins on that just so happened to help him through the speedruns he was doing. But I also don't have any evidence that it wasn't on accident, so you can take my words here with a grain of salt. But something else to mention here is how stupid his statements look now that he made to the mod team that looked over his speedrun. He seemed so confident that he was in the right, and that the mod team was completely biased against him and view hungry. He didn't even think to consider for a second that he could be doing anything wrong at all, and just insulted them publicly. And that made his previous statements really funny to me when he finally had to admit that he was wrong. All of his childish behavior towards people who are simply trying to verify a speedrun makes me dislike Dream for many reasons. And it's one of the only reasons why I care at all about the speedrunning drama. But that's pretty much all I have to say for this section. Moving on. This situation is one of the strangest things we're going to be talking about in this video, and it's mainly because I'm talking about Dream face revealing. To any normal person, and anyone who isn't Dream, this wouldn't cause anything. Why would a guy get hate for simply revealing his face online? Well, Dream somehow brought hate to himself due to this, with everything that he did after the fact. Never would have I imagined that a guy can make a face reveal a controversy, but I guess anything's possible. But before we get into exactly what Dream did, I feel like I need to establish some context first before we go further into this section. Dream had face revealed on October 2nd, 2022, a little over a year before this video will see the light of day. And to say that it was one of the biggest events on YouTube in recent memory is kind of an understatement. His face reveal video has over 50 million views currently, and was a big thing at the time it came out, and it made sense why, honestly. Especially since at this point, Dream is one of the biggest YouTubers of all time, especially in Minecraft, all while staying completely anonymous. So it's not surprising that this got a lot of attention. But this amount of attention comes with a lot of negatives as well. When Dream finally did reveal his face, the internet does what it does best to literally anyone who reveals their face online. Make fun of them constantly. Dream was at the center of a lot of ridicule, which is completely normal. The most common thing that I saw being said was that his face looks like a troll face, which is honestly pretty harmless in the grand scheme of things. And it also did help at the time that Dream didn't really respond to it much. If he had a worse reaction to what people were saying about him, maybe the shit against him would have been twice as bad, but he was calm about it, at least for the time being. I can guarantee that this whole thing would have been completely forgotten after like like a month or two. Dream face revealed, the internet made fun of him, and that was that. It was a big moment in YouTube history, sure, but it wasn't really any bigger than that. But Dream couldn't simply leave it at that. It would make one of the dumbest publicity stunts that I've ever seen in my time browsing YouTube. On June 9th, 2023, about a half a year or so after the face reveal happened initially, Dream had uploaded the video "Bye" from Dream onto his YouTube channel, essentially announcing that he was reverting back to being a faceless creator. He deleted any videos on his channel that had his face on it, including an Antarctica video that he made and his initial face reveal video, and he said that he was going to be doing stuff with his mask back on. And I don't think you have to be a genius to tell that this wasn't Dream actually being insecure about his face. Although that may have had something to do with it, and we'll never know why exactly he did this, I'm sure that Dream himself knew that once something is posted on the internet, it's there forever. Thousands of people had posted pictures of his face online, as well as there obviously being downloads of his face reveal video, along with the other videos he uploaded with his face in them. Now, what I think actually happened was that this was all just a giant publicity stunt, and that Dream wanted to start a bit of controversy in order to get people talking about him again. Let's think about this for a second. Dream's views were going lower and lower with every video he would release on his main channel, especially after he stopped his speedrunner versus whatever amount of Hunters series. Hell, in the "Buy from Dream" video, the people in the video even make jokes about Dream's views going down over the years, which basically confirms what I'm talking about here. Plus, at the time that I'm scripting this video, Dream actually put the face reveal video back up publicly on his channel and started using his actual face again in his posts. So this being anything other than him just trying to make his name talked about again just doesn't make sense to me. And if we look at his views, it didn't really work that well. It still got a lot of views, especially compared to what his channel was getting at the time, but it still doesn't compare to a normal upload on his channel like 2 years before then. But whether Dream did this to get his name talked about more or not, this just made him seem pretty pathetic in many ways. It made him seem pretty insecure about the people making fun of him. And let's be honest, I don't blame people for thinking that he's actually insecure considering how he's replied to people making fun of him before. This entire situation was something that lowered his reputation substantially, and it would only get lower from here. Now, I explained the situation in my last video about Dream, which you can watch if you want, or if you already saw that video, you could completely skip past this section, but I still thought this was important to cover though, as this was the last major controversy that Dream had put himself in, and it's also the one that made me dislike him the most, to be honest, so let's get into it. Essentially, what started this situation was that the YouTuber Quacky and Dream both created similar projects, which were Minecraft servers focused on language translation, one of which is QSMP, Quacky's project, which is a successful server that was able to merge the Spanish and English Minecraft communities together, while the other one is United SMP, which might as well have not even been announced. While trying to research for this video, every bit of info about United SMP that Dream posted has been completely wiped from his accounts, and the actual project was never officially launched. So it's basically like it never existed. I think we could tell which one was the better project just based on that alone. But here's where the drama comes in. After these projects were both unveiled, Quacky seemingly ghosted Dream and stopped talking to him. Dream had tried to get back into contact with him, but to no avail. So it looked like their friendship was essentially over at this point. So what does Dream do after this? Does he accept that Quacky just simply doesn't want to talk to him anymore and move on with his life? Well, of course not. What ended up happening was that Dream released this insane Twitter thread essentially airing out all the issues between him and Quacky, which was very much a private thing before this point, which is just an insane response in general. If you wanted Quacky to talk to him and fix their issues, literally anything would have been better than making their private issues public for millions to see. I've heard the argument that maybe Quacky shouldn't have ghosted Dream in the way you did, but even if you sympathize with Dream on that one point, it still doesn't justify making very private issues public for literally everyone to see. If anything, this just makes the entire situation way worse. Imagine that you were having issues with a friend and didn't want to talk to him, only for that same friend to put the entire thing public, but also put on some facade that they still care about you and don't have any issues with you. How would you feel about it? It would be pretty understandable if Quacky never wanted to talk to Dream again. Despite what happened before all of this, Dream escalated this entire situation into something where his friendship with Quacky could have been permanently damaged, which does seem to have happened. Neither of them interact with each other anymore, which, considering how often Minecraft YouTubers align content-wise with collabs and other stuff, does tell me that they most likely don't speak anymore. Though I could be reading way too much into this, so just take this with a grain of salt. But one point that I've seen to defend Dream on releasing this stuff is that drama surrounding both of the servers being similar was brewing. I called bullshit on this in my last video, but I got a few people commenting telling me that there was indeed drama in the Minecraft community around this time regarding this, so fine, maybe there was a lot of drama surrounding this. But Dream made this entire thing infinitely worse and put a lot more eyes around the entire situation. This went from the Minecraft community discussing everything that went on to hundreds of thousands of people throughout the entire internet discussing everything, and putting a lot of scrutiny on Dream for even doing this, which Dream should have expected to happen, to be honest. Whenever he spoke out about even the tiniest of things and made the slightest mistake, thousands of eyes would tune into everything, all because of how big of a YouTuber he was. So the fact that he didn't even consider this fact is just kind of funny to me. But overall, Dream made a situation that he was involved in a million times worse by putting it into the public eye. Not only because he outed very private issues with a friend of his, but because thousands of eyes are now on the situation, speculating what exactly went on between the two in reality, which wasn't really happening before. And that's all I have to say for this section. Moving on. Although I personally find Dream to be pretty annoying and think that a lot of the things that he ends up doing are pretty embarrassing to say the least, he's most likely not a bad person. I think what causes a lot of what he does is how quickly he blew up on YouTube. He went from a few thousand subs to 1 million within a year, and blew up exponentially past that point. If you were on the internet for years, you know exactly how to handle things like criticism, controversy, and personal drama, but Dream didn't exactly have that same luxury. It doesn't justify the stupid things he does, don't get me wrong, but it definitely explains some of the reasoning for a lot of what he does. But nonetheless, the more that Dream acts annoying, the more that people are going to completely lose respect for him. I would say that maybe YouTube isn't for him and that he should simply focus on something else like music, but I listened to his album and, well, that's all I'm gonna say about it. It's bad. It's very, very bad. But with that said, I'm done with this video. Thanks for watching, and support any of my other socials if you want to. I've got a major project in the works, which I'm planning to get out by the end of the year, so be sure to look out for that. And with that being said, I'm done with this video. Oh yeah, one last thing. Hashtag follow him.